You're on mute, bud.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Doing awesome seeing you. It's
Yeah.
gonna be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Music stop. All right, we'll get going here in a couple minutes.
All
I'll
right.
see you on.
My obviously my camera's on now. Is that normally what you do? I don't want to do anything you normally don't do. Oh, you're muted again.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, you're fine. We'll just have a little Uh-oh. Did I just go?
No, you're
Mine-
there.
Okay, good. I don't know why. Mine just went bye-bye.
All right.
They updated it, and
Those
I'm
never
gonna
go
sign. I'm
through.
gonna sign back in real quick. Something weird's going
Okay.
on, just in
Sure.
case. Come
All
back
right.
on. See you in a minute. Oh, there it is. Got it. Got it back. Pushed the wrong button. Oscar, you got me. Mike, you can hear me still, right?
Yes.
Well, we lost the music, but we're going to get started here in a minute anyway. So,
All right. I see where, I mean, it looks like the play button needs to be pressed. Maybe that triggers the music or not. I don't know.
no, I think that's just the record.
Ah,
And
okay.
yeah, he'll start that here in a second. That way he doesn't get us a bunch of
Hey,
slop.
Renny, can you hear me, Renny?
We got you.
Yeah, sorry, the restream is frozen on our end over here, so it's the restream that stopped.
You gonna
Yeah, you guys are
re
good. I just fixed it, so we're up and let me check some stuff out here and we'll get going. Sorry guys about the music, but that did stop on our end. That was a restream.
It's okay. I need a sip of coffee.
Need a sip of coffee. So hold on one second.
Yeah, I was up. I was delivering coffee. That's my thing, Mike. When you get here next time, I make everybody coffee in the morning. I didn't get to make you
Oh,
guys coffee. I'll make you guys coffee here in a bit.
nice.
We came out, we got our PPF class going, our first 5-day film class where we're doing
Oh,
all 5 days of PPF, automotive film, and residential film. So,
okay.
yeah,
Wow.
it's
I
pretty
didn't know
fun.
that was part of your program.
Yeah, we started it earlier this year. We're going to jump into it heavier and heavier. We were in the film industry back in the 80s and 90s, so we came back into it, and then I just locked down a date with Matt. We are going to have a machine and hand sanding class on November 22nd here in Big Bear. So we'll be announcing that here pretty soon, featuring
Awesome.
all the Dynabrade products, all the sanders. We got the brand new one that you guys just the 110 powered one. So I'm going to do an
Oh,
unboxing of that one. So
okay.
all right. So Oscar, I think we're about a minute out. There we go. So hey, welcome everybody. How you doing? I've got a special guest on today. I'll let him introduce himself, and then I'll say a few things about him because he's not going to brag like I am. So, Mike, welcome, buddy.
Thanks, Renny. Great to be here.
Yeah. So, tell us a little about something about yourself. You're Dynabrade, and
Yeah, yeah. So I am Dynabrade's VP of Global Sales, and I work here in our corporate headquarters, which is in Clarence, New York. It's a suburb of Buffalo. Great place to be at least 9 months out of the year. You know, we have the reputation for the heavy snowfalls. I was just talking with Oscar about that, but heading into our favorite time of year here in the fall.
it's pretty. I'd been to Buffalo one time before. It was just for a short time to work on a jet, and I never really gotten to see it until I aligned with you guys. And what a cool part of the country. I think a lot of people, you
Yeah,
guys took me for my first visit to Niagara Falls. That was
yeah,
wow. If you've never seen,
yeah. I
it's a
mean,
wow
obviously, we
moment.
share the state with New York City, and a lot of people who aren't familiar, they think we're right next door, but really we're as far away within the state as we could be. And a lot of people consider this area to be the start of the Midwest, you know, as you go
Right.
from east to west. And it definitely has that feel to it. Pretty laid back, great place to live, great place to bring up a family. I'm from here, born and raised, and then I moved out to Chicago from 94 to 2004. And that's actually where I got started with Dynabrade. But after a while, my wife and I looked at each other and said, let's move home. It never stopped being home. Great place to bring up a family. So we're delighted about that.
That's awesome. So, Mike and I aligned. Matt Denny introduced us, and I was looking to design a tool, and we got together. The first meeting was online, and then I flew out to Buffalo, and the rest is history. And Mike, the whole team is just. We're going to get into some cool questions. I don't want to lead into it too soon, but Mike's just one of those guys that he knows his stuff, but he's not overbearing with it. He's probably the smartest guy in the room, yet he's listening to everybody and giving good advice. I learn a lot from him. He's a humbled guy, and we've got some mutual mentor, that we've both known for years. That's Chip was
Yeah. Yeah.
influential in your life, and
Absolutely. I owe him a lot. He got me started with Dynabrade, and he was a true mentor for many, many years. He introduced me to the international world when I first rejoined Dynabrade back here in Clarence. As I mentioned, we moved from Chicago back home. And at that point, I took a position with Dynabrade in the international division. So I got to travel quite a bit. And boy, what an education that was. So, yeah, forever grateful.
no, it's so people are such an important part of our journeys, whether it's in business, or personal, and we'll get into the Dynabrade side of it. And, it's Dynabrade and Mike have been huge champions since we've met we've got a really big party coming up right now. It's really turned into more, the detailing industry doing a fundraiser for kids with SEMA Cares than it is anything. At least that's my motivation now. It's just to help as many kids out. And then while we're doing that, it's help detailers out. So Dynabrade is very involved in that. And this year we hope to raise $50,000 in 3 hours. Not bad, right? And our goal is much higher than that. During my journey, the next 10 or 12 years, I'd like to get that up to $100,000 every year, to put in to help those kids out, because it's a very special. SEMA Cares, if you don't know what it is, all the proceeds, anything that's donated to the party. So we get sponsors and door tickets, and those door tickets, the event's free. We do ask for a donation. All that goes to covering our cost of the party. And usually we've been pretty lucky. We about break even. Diane and I put a little bit in. Anything that's left, we donate. And so all of the proceeds from the actual party, though, 100% goes to SEMA Cares. Dynabrade has been a big part of that. And so with that, let's jump into some questions that we kind of figured out. So, Dynabrade, it's kind of surprising, as the biggest company as you are, is your employee owned. So that's pretty rare. Tell us about, how did that come up, and how's that working out?
Yeah, it works out great. So we were founded 56 years ago now. A gentleman named Walter Welsh. He was the founder of the company, Western New York native, and he started out actually as a 3M abrasive systems division salesperson. And after a time, he saw many hand applications and thought there had to be a better way. So he invented what we now call the Dynafile, and that's the tool. It's a belt sander, and that's the tool that put Dynabrade on the map. And really, since the inception of the company, back in 1969, we were family owned, a privately held company, Walter Welsh and his family. And then since around the year 2000, we became family and employee owned with an employee stock ownership program. So it's been great. Obviously, it's a sense of pride, right? And a strong sense. It's not just the environment in which we work. I think that shows it loud and clear. You were here, Renny, and you saw the factory, and we're very proud to walk people through our facility here. So there's pride in that. There's pride in the actual work produced. Not everybody in our company has a say in sales and how sales are going. That's up to the
Hmm.
sales and marketing team primarily, but everybody here truly has involvement in expense management, and that's how we remain so financially strong. So it's just pride throughout the organization, and it's a great company for which to work, no doubt.
We'll get into this jumping ahead, but you guys hosted us, and we're gonna do that again this next spring, for one of our mafia meetings. And we're out on the floor. But the first time I was there, the very very first time I was getting a tour. Okay, I've been in a lot of factories, right? Where they manufacture, not just manufacture right there, but they ship out, they build stuff, they got a machine shop. So we're sitting here, Mike's giving me a tour, and he goes, "Yeah," he says, "this is our machine shop." I said, "Where?" Because what's a normal machine shop look like? Kind of
Yeah.
greasy, oily, stuff on. No, we were sitting in the middle of the machine shop, and it was. I'll be honest, it was cleaner than our shop right now, and it's a machine shop. So this last trip when the mafia's out there, we got to meet a gentleman that had been there for 30 years. He didn't look like it. I couldn't believe that he said he'd been there for 30 years, but he started very, very young. And he was just so proud. Like, his connection with Dynabrade was just, it was so deep. So how do you how do you, and this is not part of the questioning, how'd that culture come along? I mean, what is it part of the ownership thing? Is it just is it you going out on the floor? Is it different people in management, knowing people? What's this? Because that secret sauce to even a small one man. We got Brett right here. We got a couple one man, another one that's quite large. So we got four one man operations, or one and a quarter somewhere in there. The bigger one. What's the secret sauce to creating that culture?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really think it was the tone that Walter set back,
Mhm.
at the inception of the company. It was a rather flat organization. Walter had a great relationship with all of the employees, and he would walk the factory floor pretty routinely. And that's continued on. We certainly added some verticality in the organization, which is really necessary. Absolutely, it is. But I think there's a lot of long tenured employees here who, they still hang on to that tone that Walter did a great job in establishing. So it still permeates through the building, generations later. So it's still very much alive.
I want to note something right now. I think you guys, we got live people here. We should have had them say hi. I've heard you several times pay it forward already with Walter.
Yeah.
And I think that's such an important. I had one of my mentors teach me something. He goes, "Look, I'm going to teach you everything I know, but never fish in my pond." And I still pay tribute to him a lot. And I never. And what he meant by that was, don't take out of my mouth. I'm going to put into your family, but don't take out of mine to better your life. And I think paying it forward and paying respect. Walter's gone. His family. I've gotten to meet a couple family members. Still come in. I think that's so important to not just your culture, but I think it goes down into our DNA as being humans and our faith, is that if you don't pay it forward, I think it's like a rotten apple in the middle. It looks good on the outside, but it's rotten in the middle. And so I love that you pay it forward and you got that culture. Now, another culture, it seems as I'm going around town and I've met restaurant owners, there's a certain hotel that you guys put me in when I'm there, and we stayed there. And I would have loved to met Walter, because this guy, the hotel owner, what's his name? Kind of
Russell
Russell.
Salvatore.
My God, this
Yeah.
guy,
Cut
he
from the
owns
same
this.
cloth.
See, and that's what I kind of figured. I've always wanted to ask you that, was Walter and him. Russell owns a hotel. He owns a restaurant. He's got a restaurant right in a hotel that's a steakhouse. The only time I've seen the guy outside of a suit is in the morning when he gets up. He lives there in the hotel on the
He
upper,
lives there, yeah.
and he has his workout suit on. He's, God, what is he, 90 something years old?
92. Yeah.
92 years old. And he comes down and he remembers me, but he always rags on me because I don't dress nice enough. he's, he's like, "Hey, when's the last time you had a suit on?" I said, "A couple months ago." He goes, "Should be a couple days ago." And he goes, "Are you telling Heritage?" And I said, "Yeah, Vaco." And he goes, "Yeah, shame on you." I was like, "Oh my God, jeez."
Yeah, I mean, he's such a character, and really, it's part of the experience of visiting us here. That's where we have our guests stay. We have our salespeople stay there when they're in from out of town. So, yeah, it's part of the Western New York tradition, I'll say, with Dynabrade.
Oh, now you guys just got off doing something interesting. You do kind of a 3-year forecast, and I don't want to jump in too much into the reads on this one, but what's your long-term vision of the company, and how do you get really super hyper focused and measure the progress in those items that you're seeing out there? What's the secret to that one?
Yeah. So profitable sales growth is
Mhm.
really what drives us. We want to grow in sales and we want to remain profitable at the same time. And how do we do that? So you mentioned a 3-year program. We call that our strategic plan. And
Mhm.
our fiscal year runs from October through September. So this month actually wraps up the 3rd year of our current strategic plan. So we just met here in our headquarters a couple of weeks ago, and there was 16 leaders within the company, those from here, those from overseas, and we got together and we left that meeting with our new strategic plan. So we have it. We're super excited about it. It's what's going to give us direction for fiscal year 26 through 28. And 3 years from now, we'll get together again with a blank sheet of paper. So it really drives us, Renny. I say all the time, it's not in addition to the job, it is the job. And it's our roadmap. Otherwise, we wouldn't know as clearly where we're going to be going. But I feel really confident that this is a tremendous strategic plan. We start out with cornerstones, and those are our strategic goals, and they are grow profitable sales, drive innovation, strive for operational excellence, and build organizational capabilities. So those four remain from plan after plan. And then under each, we discuss at length what would be the best strategic objectives to fall under each. So under each of those goals, we have 3 or 4 objectives that we'll build out tactical plans for, and that will be what we do day to day for the next 3 years is execute on
Wow.
that. So it's pretty well thought out. We've been fortunate to have a lot of people visit our company, and we always start out with what we call our guiding principles, and that includes our vision statement, our mission statement, and then we show them our strategic plan. And almost unanimously, they say, "Wow, our company needs to do something like that." So it's pretty well thought out, and we have a great team of leaders to execute on it. And we're looking forward to get going here, October 1.
That's so small business. We're sitting here, Brett and I from Utah, is small, young entrepreneur, young in business, but young in age. And we were just talking about that, and how to get them up to. I told them, listen, so many people when they're entrepreneurs think of going just big and wealthy, but we had a discussion. I said, hey, what's a really good executive at an executive level that's living a good life make in Salt Lake City? We came up with a number of about 200,000 a year, roughly. And I said, are you at that point? And he said, can I share it? He goes, no, not yet, not in closest. Yeah, but what's the average age of those people making that kind of money? He goes, probably in their 40s and 50s. I said, okay, not in their, not early 30s like you. So early 30s, where are those people that are working their way up? And he threw out a number. And I said, how close can you get there the next year or two? Yeah. So you're way ahead of the game. Is that, but you've got to put these. I love that, we're doing the same thing now. I don't know if you've heard, but we brought Oscar on full time as the vice president. And that's all Becky, Oscar, and I have been doing for the last 2 weeks is planning out the next 5 years, and we're looking at 5 years, but we're really looking at the next 12 to 24 months. And a lot of people think what you just said is just for the big guys. Don't you think it's really important for the little guys, even one man operations, one person operations,
Oh,
to,
yeah.
to have that vision?
Absolutely. Without it, I don't know, when they wake up in the morning, I'm not sure they know what the end of the day is going to look like. So for us, a 3-year horizon works pretty well. And, with the tactical plans that we're going to develop under each of these objectives, that's what we're going to be doing day to day. And we have a
Mm.
real strong mix of strategic leaning people and tactical leaning people. So it's a really good blend. And, we're finishing up our current plan, executed it very, very well. And now we're, extending many of those objectives, and we have some entirely new objectives, which we're very excited about. So keeps things fresh, keeps all the employees engaged. We start every meeting, whether it's with our employees or board of directors or family shareholders. We start every meeting with revisiting the strategic plan, just to, that's our true north, if you will.
I like it. I like it. So going into that, so I've used SWOT analysis for 30 years in my business, 30 plus years. You brought a whole new meaning to the way I do a SWOT analysis. And so those that, just in 30 or 40 seconds, kind of give us your viewpoint of what a SWOT analysis is. And do you utilize that within these meetings?
Yeah, we absolutely do. In fact, for our own planning pre-work, we call it, we had all the meeting participants complete a SWOT, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So looking at Dynabrade, introspectively and critically thinking, what is Dynabrade good at? Where do we need to shore up some weaknesses? Those are internal things. And then opportunities and threats, those things that exist outside the company or external factors that we could either benefit from or we need to be cautious of. So
Mm.
how we use it, and it's really important to do it right, I believe. So you have your current state, and that's really what the SWOT brings forth, your current state, exactly where you are today. And then your desired state, that's where you want to be. And then the area in between is called your needs gap. So those are the things that you need to improve on to get to your desired state. So those come from executing on your strengths to a even higher degree, acknowledging your weaknesses and identifying what's necessary to turn those around. And this is an important part for the weaknesses. We challenge our people when they write a weakness, we say, okay, that's fine, but bring at least one potential solution. And that
Mm.
really challenges people to think critically about, what they're saying is a weakness. Opportunities are tremendous. Those are those things external to the company that we can capitalize on. And then threats. Threats always start out with competition. That's just threat number one, regardless of the industry. So it's good to know who your competitors are, what their points of difference are, and what yours are versus them, and how you can, remain in the game with them and surpass them based on your own strengths. So we absolutely utilize SWOT. It's how we start out our strategic plan meeting, and then we'll take it even further over the next 3 years. We'll look at different departments perhaps and run a SWOT. We did one on on automotive aftermarket, actually, 4 years ago. Karen McMullen and I
Mhm.
uh, led a group talking about our automotive aftermarket. Karen and I were both new to the division at the time, so we truly didn't know what we didn't know. So we had the people who were here at the time running auto aftermarket, and we did a 2-day SWAT with them. And what was an opportunity? Detail. And I say that because whatever our strengths were at the time were based purely on collision shop. We have a great set of tools for the body shop side of things, but people in detail very rarely knew who we were. So we saw that as a tremendous opportunity, and that really started us on our path that eventually ended up with Dynabrade and Renny Doyle meeting each other. So
It's
true
it,
story.
it's amazing. One of our really good friends, Andy out of Oregon, sent a few of us a note the other day, and it said something, and I hope I don't mess this up, but how'd it go, Britt? What Andy sent out? Do you guys remember what he said? Corey, were you involved?
Overnight, but if you quit, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, but if you quit, it will never happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that, it's been a slow moving to get this train going, right, on the automotive side. But I'm not in a hurry. You guys aren't in a hurry. We know where we're going, and I think we're going to gain a lot of speed these next 12 months. And that's the SWAT, being patient, know it's going to happen. I think that took some time, age, maturity, both in age and wisdom within business, to learn that, is just be patient. And the SWAT side of it, I SWAT. We're looking at a couple of big opportunities. Our realtor just called me right now, and we're trying to move forward on a couple of things. And I talked to a good friend of mine this real early this morning, and he's like, "Are you kind of nervous about it?" I said, "No, completely at ease because I've completely done again SWOT on it. I know it. We've been talking about just like our shop when we invested in this. We've been talking about it for a half a decade." And so the same thing, both of these moves that we might be making, we've been talking about a half decade. We're totally settled into it. The only thing that hasn't come up, the only reason we haven't done it is it's just the right situation hasn't popped up, right? And now it does. So let's ask you this: your personal values, getting to know you. Um, what values do you bring in on a personal side into your leadership?
Yeah. So I think trust is key. Early on in my career, I met with I went from being a distributor salesperson where you represent many lines to the Dynabrade territory manager in Chicago. And that's how I
Hmm.
started my path with Dynabrade. So I went from representing many lines with many competitors in Chicago, fellow distributors who we go toe to toe with. So now I'm the Dynabrade territory manager, and now I have to go in and work with those companies that were formerly competitors. And the president of one of those companies took me to lunch one day, and he said some words that I'll never forget. He said, "Mike, I'll trust you till you give me a reason not to." And that really stuck with me. So I think it's incredibly important to earn and keep people's trust, because without that, you lose your credibility.
Mm.
Um, that's definitely a driving factor. Ethical choices, always doing what you really believe is the right thing. in the best interest of the company. You know, ethics and business is everything. It's very similar to trust. And something else I really believe in is a concept called strategic intent, and that is getting everybody on your team, so Dynabrade in this case, everybody on your team buying into where you're going. And listening to them is absolutely paramount. What they think, what they say, what they do, it matters, and they need to know that, and they need to know that from leadership. So those things combined, I think that sums up, you know, my personal values and the approach to helping Dynabrade succeed here well into the future.
That's awesome. And then right on that, and kind of we kind of hit this earlier, but how scaling that culture as you guys grow and have opportunity. I mean, you're expanding on the headquarters there. How do you keep that culture fresh?
Yeah,
That's
it's a challenge for sure. So, you know, we grow organically. We add salespeople around the world. Those are Dynabrade salespeople. Uh, in recent years, we've acquired two companies. One is our largest supplier for precision machine parts here in Western New York. So we vertically integrated that company as a supplier. More recently, we acquired Global Abrasive Products, which is an abrasive converter. So now you're introducing people who were working at a company and now they're part of the Dynabrade family. So whether it's a new hire for Dynabrade or any of those people who are working with those other companies, embracing the culture, onboarding them properly. We have 30, 60, 90-day check-ins. That person, supervisor, you know, they're with them all the time, honestly, but a formal program to check in 30, 60, 90 days. Where are we going next? That's very, very important. I believe in, and it's not just me, the leadership team, we believe strongly in letting people know why or why not we're going to do something or we're not going to do something. If somebody thinks there's a good idea and we decide it's not a good idea, we'll let them know, you know, why not. So just, you know, it keeps people engaged. We don't want to stop ideas from coming in, never. But letting them know, you know, why we decide not to do something is very important.
So this next question is really, I'll tell you a backstory. So, I was engaged with another company for years, had a great relationship, still do. And they had gone through some they'd been purchased, they'd been, you know, new management, they had all these things going, and we just couldn't get their attention. So I went about designing a tool on my own, and I had the general layouts. And then when I met Matt, and I was like, you know, I mean, I'd known Dynabrade for 20 years, and especially on the sander side, but the tool industry is very different. And as I started the design, I started realizing, listen, I know everything about how a tool should work, look, and feel. I know nothing about engineering it to get it to that point. And I realized very quickly when we joined forces of senior laboratory, the engineers and everything, I was like, oh my God, what was I even thinking? You know, I mean, this is crazy. How the heck do you guys stay setting trends and not being comfortable? Do you guys ever find yourself getting comfy and not really wanting to budge? I've done that a couple times in my career, and you have to nudge yourself to get uncomfortable again.
Yeah, I think, you know, our company's mindset is to keep going forward. Our financial goals don't allow us to get too comfortable. We certainly acknowledge the results, you know, at month end, quarter end, year end, but we're always looking ahead. So we don't stand still. I totally understand why some companies are content with where they're at. You know, let's say the owner has made a decent living and they're not looking to add more stress or whatever it is that brings them down. But we are always looking to grow. So it's our financial goals that really prevent us from getting too comfortable. Um, Research and development is something that keeps us in tune with the market. In fact, you know, I mentioned that we have new strategic objectives now heading into next year, and one of them is to expand market R&D capabilities. So that's new, and just by having that as an objective, it's going to allow us to engage additional resources. You know, we'll likely add on to our product management team, um, keeping in tune with the market, listening to what the customers need, and those are fresh ideas, right? So we love new products. We excel at getting new products out into the market, and we're going to even accelerate that process. That's not another objective, to get new products to market quicker. So all these things combined, they keep Dynabrade fresh and relevant.
Yeah, that's so important. Even again, going back to a small operation, you've got to don't be comfortable. Add
Mm.
another element. What are you missing? We're talking about that when you roll up, if you're mobile, how else can you profitize from those relationships and the trust you built with your clients? You just think detail, but there's a lot more to it. You think Sanders, but you guys have gone out and there's other things. There's other industry. It's not just wood. It's not just metal. It's not just aircraft. It's all these other things that you can take and get into and trend them. So right with that is, if you could only focus on three metrics within your business, what three would it be?
Yeah, so two are easy because they're baked right into our plan. One is to grow sales, and we want to grow sales by double digits as a percentage each and
Mm,
every year. And the other second element there is to grow our operating income as a percentage of net sales. So there's a lot of words there, but what that means is we want to become more profitable each and every year as a percentage of our sales. So to do those two things is pretty challenging, but Dynabrade has a real strong history of executing on both. If it was just to grow sales at the expense of profit, that's easy. You just drop the price and you sell more. If it's to grow profit at the expense of sales, that's still relatively easy. You just increase the price. You're going to sell less, but your profitability is going to increase. So we want to grow sales and increase our profitability as a percentage of those sales. Those are two that are front and center. The other one for me is market share. I always want to know how we're doing in the random orbital sander world versus our competitors, or in the belt sander world. We have the Dynaphile series, and we're far and away the market share leader on the belt sander. General purpose tools, that's another big category for us. Die grinders, disc sanders, these tools are used everywhere in metalworking. So that's an area where we can capture a lot of market share still. Detail, as we know, we are relatively new to the game, but we're going to be doing some things here to increase our market share there. So market share is the third metric for me. As a percentage, how much of the market do we own in a particular category?
I dig it. Taking it down, I love that. And I'll take it right down to the small business side of it, whether you're tent, whether you're PPF, your detail, your PDR, is market share and your desired segment. So where are you at? Are you going after fleets and numbers? Are you going after specialty? Are you going after the people that are looking for quality? What are you looking for? I always look for areas in the market that are kind of being unanswered. And there's a middle ground in our industry that customers are hungry for. And the other thing we concentrate on is developing new customers and detailing, not existing ones. We want to take and get those that really have never had a professional detail or maybe even had a bad experience. We want to give them a new taste of detailing. And so those items that Mike just reached on and talked about, you can put into operation right into your small business. So how do you decide? Everybody talks about what you're going to do as an organization. How do you decide what not to do?
Yeah, so we consider an idea and we ask ourselves, okay, what's the return on that investment? Does it make sense? Um, are we set up currently with what we have? Does it match our core competencies, or is it a big stretch that's going to require, time and money to shore up in that area? Does it fit in our strategic plan? It doesn't necessarily have to, but it's certainly a tiebreaker if it does. So, return on investment is probably the first go, no go. Um, and we do that internally here when we get an idea for a new tool. The first thing we do is we poll the global sales team, and we give them the basics and ask them, how many do you think you could sell within a year? We know what it's going to cost us. Then we look at all of the roll up on the unit sales, and we say, yeah, it's a good return, or no, this one's not really for us. So ROI is the number one consideration.
I like it. So, everybody's got their first day and everybody's got their last day. And what are you looking for in the next generation of leaders?
Yeah, so we like curious people. We want somebody to come in or, express curiosity and how you got to where you are, and ask meaningful questions about how they could help take the company to the next level. We have a strong leadership group. Very proud of that team. Good listeners. I think that's important as well. And then really, the person should be either strong as a strategic thinker and doer or a tactical doer. You need that blend. You can't have a meeting room full of strategic people or nothing will get done.
Yeah.
You can't have a room full of tactical people or maybe some of the wrong things will get done. So we have a really nice blend of strategic and tactical people. So those are traits that we look for in our leadership team.
Boy, I like that. So right on the heels of that is you've got as a company and as a leader grows, a lot of people think that life gets easier out on the golf course. You're having these power lunches, with cigars and cognac and all this good stuff. But in reality, the challenges get a little more difficult. Um, the load on you can get a little more intense. Hopefully, you learn as you mature how to handle it. But when you get into those tough decisions, what's the sounding board for you? How are you airing those out, and how are you dealing with the stress and the emotions?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know what I do, it's almost 24 hours. I wake up to an inbox full of emails because when I'm sleeping, my counterparts overseas are working. So I finish the day with an empty inbox and I wake up with 20 emails. So, bam, with the coffee, you're right into the flavor of the day. So I think, as I've done this now for some time, I think practical experience, there's not a lot. I shouldn't say this because I'm going to jinx myself. There's not a lot that surprises too much anymore.
Mhm.
The tariffs of this year, that's something new, so we haven't had to deal with that, but that's something that came out of nowhere, relatively speaking. Um, Strong leadership team. I lean on my peers on the executive team, depending on what the topic is. I'll often meet with Mike Buffamani, our president and CEO. He has a really strong perspective on a lot of things that I think give us good direction. I'll talk to mentors, people from my past who helped me get to where I'm at today. Talk to our leadership here, not just at the executive level, but our strong management team, whether they're here in the building or overseas. So really good network. If I need a fresh perspective, I'll ask my wife. We bounce work things off each other all the time. And yeah, it's really a pretty good network. I'm fortunate that way. So yeah, it's not just one person. It's crowd wisdom, I think, is
Mm,
really giving me good direction.
dang. Okay, so here's an amazing thing. I'm sitting here interviewing. I've known you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 notes of things that I want to take and either adapt into or look into. Um, so what did you call that? Growth what? Growth wisdom. Oh,
Oh,
crowd
crowd wisdom.
wisdom.
Yeah,
Crowd wisdom.
crowd
Yeah,
wisdom.
I love that. I love
You know
that.
where that comes from? So it's probably urban legend, but supposedly there was a fair where there was a contest where everybody had to guess the weight of a prize steer. And, they got guesses from hundreds of people. Nobody got it right, but the average was exactly right. So that's just engage. The more people you engage, the better chance you have to land in the middle, which is where you want to land. So.
Man, that's magic. The next
Yeah.
3 questions I think are the most important is what's the best piece of advice that a mentor gave you, and how do you pass that forward?
Yeah, it was given to me about 20 feet from where I sit right now. I walked into Chip's office one day and with a problem or something I thought was a problem, and he said, if you're not bringing the solution, you're bringing the problem, and that
Mm,
stuck with me. And I learned not to just have a complaint or identify a weakness in a SWOT, but if I see something wrong, I ask myself, all right, what is a possible solution or multiple possible solutions? So that's one. If you're not bringing the solution, you're bringing the problem. And we challenge each other with solutions all the time. Otherwise, who wants to listen to somebody complain if they don't have
mm.
any ideas on how to make it better?
Wow, I love that too.
Yeah.
When you step away, like I said, each one of us have got our first and our last day. When you step away from this role, maybe it's, you go up, maybe retire, whatever the case may be. What do you want to be remembered as? What do you want to be remembered for?
Yeah. So, I mean, in our cafeteria, you've seen the wall of 25-year stars. We have like a wall of fame, I'll call it, where we honor our people who've been with the company for 25 plus years. And, each of them has a tremendous, tremendous story for sure. So, I think about, when my time might come, what I want to be remembered for. I think I would want to be remembered for being the guy who always did what he said he was going to do. I think not just making promises to somebody, but actually living up to it and doing it. And if you fall short, you give them a reason why. But you can't make a promise and not act on it. So I pride myself in that. If I say something to you, darn well I'm going to do it. So
Wow.
that's important to me. Um,
Wow.
I also
Wow.
think that whatever I would have done by the time I retire is always in the best interest of Dynabrade. I love this company. I love wearing the shirt. I got the logo on
Hmm.
today. I wear it pretty much every day. Yeah, you got it as well.
I'm
Looks
on.
good. Look good
Yeah,
in orange and white.
I do. I do. It does. That's
So yeah, I mean, proud to wear the shirt. I think that um, I'm proud of what I do. I love who I work with and work for.
mm.
I love the partnerships like we have with you. It's been quite a ride. We're not done yet, but
Oh God, we're not even
we'll
close.
come
We're just
now. It's been a
starting.
fun ride.
We're on the ice cube. We've got
Yeah,
one little ice cube carved out of on the entire iceberg, So,
yeah.
and what the cool thing about Dynabrade, we're not after anybody else. Like we don't target other tool companies. We're after our own. We know what we need to do. We know what we're capable of, and I love that we share that viewpoint. We see what the competitors are doing right, and maybe not so right, but we're just playing our own game. We're worried about we are our own competitors. And we're worried about going out and just getting, like you said, part of the market share. And we want to eat up and develop more market share. And we want everybody to be successful, but we really don't take too many. We don't want to take a stab at anybody else. There's a lot of great companies out there. We just want to be known for being a great company and with great products.
Absolutely. I mean, we learn a lot from our competitors. We all make each other better. We each have our own niche. Ours
Mhm.
happens to be abrasive power tools.
Mhm.
Um, we delve into some areas, but that's really our core competency there. So yeah, we love competition. It makes us better. And I'm sure we make other companies better, and that's fine. We see each other at trade shows and industry events. So we don't run the other way. We shake hands and
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's good.
So the last question, this is, I think, probably, we really push this with the mafia is, you've got to make deposits in your community. You can't just take and get withdrawal, 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 withdrawal. How do you measure the impact that Dynabrade has beyond profits?
Yeah, that's a great question because when you think business, the first thing that comes to mind is, how profitable are you or how are your sales? Those are the questions that you ask first when you're in a meeting. How's your year going, right? That's a pretty common question. So beyond all that, though, I think it really comes back to pride of ownership. And in this case, it's quite literal in that the employees, along with the Walter's family, we're the owners of the company, and our future is in our hands. So we're fortunate that it's a privately held company, um, family and employee owned. It starts there. Also, giving back to the community. We're here in Western New York. It's a relatively small community, but we do a lot of things for different charities. This year we're trying something new. We have our beloved Buffalo Bills, and they look like
Mhm.
they're the real deal once again this year. So we were fortunate enough to be presented with a sponsorship opportunity. So now we hear our name, our company name on the radio, 5 to 10 times a day during the games, and it's pretty cool to hear that. And, it's like wow, that's cool. So it's sponsoring something that is beloved across this community. Um, that and the charitable things that we do, I think, put us in pretty good standing.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
the community, I think that Dynabrade is a good reflection on what the community of Buffalo is. It's not what a lot of people, until I got there and really started getting to know not just the team members at Dynabrade, but going out to the local restaurants, the hotel, and taking and meeting the locals. It's an amazing community, and I think that you guys, you can see that a community within your company community, and I think that's pretty special. So, I think anybody that's listening is go out and be something special in your community. And I hear this all the time: is that they don't believe in different organizations in their community. Well, go out and make those organizations great, make it better just by your presence and turning it into something special. So, well, Mike, hey, it's great talking to you. It's something that I've been looking forward to since we scheduled it, and I just appreciate all you do for not just us and our company and myself professionally, but the friendship. We both go AC/DC. We both love AC/DC.
Yes, sir.
And we've got a lot of friendships that we've built up and emotions. And you guys hosting, I don't know if you know this, but when you hosted us earlier this year, you guys touched the mafia.
Uh,
You impacted lives.
Well, I felt the same way. There's a personal connection that forms pretty quickly with your group. Um, you're such a tremendous leader for the mafia, and it shows, in personal conversations with each and every one of them. I loved it. I can't wait to you and the team comes back this year. We'll do the same thing again. Have a great time. Looking forward to SEMA, where we'll spend a lot of good time together and talking about what's next. So
Cool.
yeah, it's been great, Renny. I could speak for all of Dynabrade, including your friends that you made over in Luxembourg and Belgium. Um, we love being a part of this group now. So thank you so much for welcoming us into it and helping show us the way. So thank you
Yeah,
for all.
yeah, and amen to that. And that whole, your whole team worldwide. I've met so many of them from, now from Europe and Asia, and of course here in the U.S. And we had a great time. We worked hard. We were at Automechanica together, and the day I left, our mountain started on fire. So the whole team was around me and making sure that I was feeling comfortable, and it got to the comfortable. I mean, I wasn't sure from day to day, well, if I was going to have to go home and help Diane. She was evacuating horses and everything else, and then the team just stuck by me, and it turned out to where I didn't have to, and everything. Our community was saved, thank God, by the firefighters. But we had such an amazing tour afterwards. That body shop, the event we had, the one day event was incredible. And I just, love the opportunity and this exiting it out. What are you putting into people? Because you're going to get it back out. You got to put it back into people and you get out. Some of the people will take advantage of that. It's okay because you know how to, you got to exit that relationship. But when people put back into you what you're putting in, they match that energy. That's a special relationship.
Yeah, yeah, and it goes beyond words, right? It's
It does.
something you can just
It's
feel.
connections. And
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to not have just that with you, but with PNS and the ATG team. ATG has been very good to me, and I like it's changing the industry when a big, when a VC group comes in and purchases that, not just one big brand, but many brands. It says something about where our industry's going. And I think there's opportunity from the newest, smallest shop that's just started up that you don't know what your horizon is going to, Britt and I just had that conversation. If I ever, did I ever dream I'd be where I'm at? And, I visioned it. I just didn't know the journey would look like this,
Yeah,
some
yeah,
of it hard, some of it not so hard. But I think the emotional side of it, I had no clue of what I was in for, of how many great people I'd meet and the opportunities. And definitely I never dreamed I'd be in, approaching 30 different countries, and sharing the love affair for not just detailing, but cars, and airplanes. I think that's more important. So,
yeah.
Mike, we'll see you
Complete.
soon. We'll see you in a few weeks here at SEMA. Thanks for being on. Tell everybody we said hi, and we will see you next time. Everybody, have a blessed day. I hope you took something away. Again, if you did just one little thing, let us know. You can email me at renny@detailingsuccess.com. I'll pass that on to Mike if he said something that's impacted your business, and we'll put it out there. That's all our goal is. One of you to take and make something happen, say something today that takes and has a positive pressure onto your life and your business. So, Mike, good seeing you, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Happy
Thanks
to
so
be
much,
on it
Renny.
all. You
Stay
got it, buddy.
well.
We'll see you soon.